In the dead of night, when even the palace guards dozed at their posts, a figure moved through shadowed corridors. Her footsteps were silent. Her purpose, deadly? This was no assassin, no enemy spy. This was a mother, and she was about to commit the most unthinkable act in human history, betraying her own flesh and blood. Nandi, the name once whispered with reverence throughout the kingdom. A woman who had given life, who had nursed and nurtured, who had sung lullabies and wiped away tears. But on this night, those same hands that had once cradled her infant son would sign his death warrant. What drives a mother to such darkness? What poison seeps so deep into the soul that it corrupts the most sacred bond known to humanity? The bond between mother and child, a connection forged in blood, sealed in love, meant to endure beyond death itself. Yet here she stood, plotting against the very life she had brought into this world. The heir to a throne, her son. Her betrayal would echo through the centuries, a wound that would never heal. A story so shocking, so unfathomable, that it challenges everything we believe about maternal love. But this is her story, and tonight, you'll witness how a mother became a monster. The palace walls had seen many secrets, but none as dark as the one brewing within their ancient stones. These were not peaceful times. The kingdom teetered on the edge of chaos, where every whispered conversation could spark a revolution, and every alliance was built on quicksand. Power hung in the air like smoke, intoxicating, suffocating, and always shifting. Courtiers moved through marble halls with painted smiles and poisoned daggers hidden beneath silk robes. Trust was a luxury no one could afford. Paranoia was survival. The throne room, once a symbol of stability, now felt more like a battlefield where wars were fought with words and won with betrayal. Nobles schemed in shadowed alcoves. Servants traded secrets like currency. Even the walls seemed to listen, absorbing every treacherous word spoken within their reach. This was a place where mothers sold their daughters for political gain, where fathers sacrificed sons for a taste of power, where blood meant nothing if it stood between you and the crown. The very air was thick with ambition, heavy with the weight of unspoken plots and broken oaths. In such a world, perhaps it's no surprise that even the most sacred bonds could be severed, that maternal love could curdle into something far more sinister. The kingdom's moral decay had infected everyone from the lowest servant to the highest noble, and now it had reached into the heart of the royal family itself, corrupting the one relationship that should have remained pure. He was everything a kingdom could hope for in a future ruler. Tall, commanding, with eyes that burned with righteous fire and a voice that could rally armies or soothe a crying child. The prince carried himself with the confidence of one born to lead, yet possessed the compassion that comes from understanding struggle. From birth, he had been groomed for greatness. Tutored by the finest minds, trained by the most skilled warriors, molded by tradition and expectation into the perfect heir. The people loved him, the nobles respected him. The future seemed bright with his promise, and beside him, always, stood his mother, Nandi, the queen mother, whose beauty was matched only by her perceived devotion. She had guided his first steps, celebrated his victories, comforted him through defeats. Their bond appeared unbreakable, a source of strength for both mother and son. To the court, they were the ideal, a loving mother who had raised a worthy heir. She would smile with pride when he achieved his goals, offer counsel when he faced difficult decisions. Her love seemed as constant as the sunrise, as dependable as the changing seasons. But behind closed doors, something had shifted. Perhaps it was the weight of watching him grow beyond her influence. Perhaps it was the whispers of those who sought to use her for their own ends. Or perhaps the darkness had always been there, hidden beneath the mask of maternal devotion. The son saw none of it coming. How could he? She was his mother, his protector, his first love. The betrayal that awaited would cut deeper than any blade. The first seeds of treachery were planted in the queen's private chambers, where candlelight flickered against tapestries depicting family loyalty and honor. Ironic backdrop for what was about to unfold. They came to her one by one, rival nobles who saw opportunity in her proximity to power. Smooth-tongued politicians who spoke of the greater good and necessary sacrifices for an ambassador's bearing gifts and promises. Each visitor left behind a little more poison, a few more doubts about her son's fitness to rule. "He's too idealistic," they whispered. "Too soft for the harsh realities of leadership. The kingdom needs strength, not sentiment. Think of what's best for the realm, not just for your boy." At first, Nandi dismissed such talk, but repetition is a powerful weapon. Night after night, the same words echoed in her chambers. The same concerns were raised, the same alternatives were suggested. Slowly, doubt crept into her heart like frost creeping across a window. She began to see her son differently. His compassion became weakness. His idealism became naivety. His trust in her became a tool she could exploit. The transformation was gradual, almost imperceptible, a mother's love cooling degree by degree until it became something else entirely. Secret meetings multiplied. Coded messages passed between silk-gloved hands. Plans took shape in the shadows while her son slept peacefully, still believing in his mother's protection. Still trusting in a love that was already dead, replaced by something far more calculating and cold. The web was being woven, and at its center sat a mother, preparing to catch her own child. The night arrived like a storm, sudden, violent, and irreversible. Nandi had made her choice. The woman who had given him life would now orchestrate his destruction. She summoned him to her chambers under the pretense of urgent family business. He came immediately, as he always did, trusting and unsuspecting. His face lit up with that familiar smile, the same one she had once treasured. Now nothing more than a painful reminder of bonds she was about to sever forever. "My son," she said, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was about to do. "There are matters we must discuss," but instead of maternal counsel, armed guards stepped from behind the curtains. Instead of loving words, chains rattled in the silence. Her son's face transformed from confusion to horror to heartbreak in the span of seconds, a lifetime of emotions compressed into one devastating moment. "Mother," the word escaped his lips like a prayer, like a plea, like a child's desperate cry for the woman who was supposed to protect him from all harm. She looked into his eyes, those eyes that had gazed at her with pure love from the moment of his birth and felt nothing. The maternal instinct that should have screamed in protest was silent. The love that should have stopped her hand was gone, replaced by cold calculation and political necessity. "You were never meant to rule," she said, each word a dagger thrust into his heart. "The kingdom needs someone stronger." And with those words, she condemned her own flesh and blood to a fate worse than death, betrayal by the one person who should have died protecting him. What followed was a master class in humiliation. The prince, once heir to a throne, once the hope of a nation, was paraded through the streets like a common criminal. The same people who had cheered his name now jeered at his downfall, their loyalty as fickle as morning mist. Prison walls replaced palace chambers. Rats and filth became his companions where once he had been surrounded by luxury and love. The golden boy of the kingdom was reduced to a broken figure, shackled not just by iron chains, but by the devastating knowledge of who had put him there. He didn't rage. He didn't curse his captors or demand his rights. Instead, he sat in stunned silence, replaying that final moment in his mother's chambers over and over again, trying to understand how the woman who had sung him lullabies could orchestrate his destruction with such chilling efficiency. The physical degradation was nothing compared to the psychological torment. Every day brought fresh reminders of his mother's betrayal. Guards would mock him with details of how she had sold him out, how she had provided them with his habits, his weaknesses, his blind spots, how thoroughly she had studied her own son, not out of love, but to ensure his complete downfall. His execution came on a gray morning when even the sun seemed reluctant to witness such injustice. As the blade fell, spectators later claimed they heard him whisper one final word, "Mother." The halls that once echoed with his laughter fell silent. The future he represented died with him. And somewhere in the palace, a woman who had once been a mother continued her life as if she had never given birth at all. In the aftermath of such devastating betrayal, the question haunts us: what had Nandi become? Was she a master politician who sacrificed personal sentiment for the greater good? Or had she crossed a line that no human being should ever cross, the line between mother and monster? Her supporters, few though they were, painted her as a realist. A woman who understood that sometimes love must bow to necessity. They argued she saved the kingdom from weak leadership, that her sacrifice, and it was a sacrifice, they insisted, prevented civil war and foreign invasion. But others saw something far darker. They saw a woman consumed by ambition, drunk on the power that came from controlling kings and kingdoms. A creature who had murdered the most fundamental part of herself for maternal instinct in pursuit of political gain. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere between these extremes. Perhaps Nandi was neither saint nor demon, but something more terrifying, a human being who discovered that even the strongest bonds can be broken when enough pressure is applied, that even maternal love has its price. She lived for many years after her son's death, wielding influence from the shadows, shaping the destiny of nations. But those who knew her best claimed she was never the same, that sometimes, in unguarded moments, they would catch her staring at portraits of the son she had destroyed, her face a mask of emotions too complex to decode. Was she haunted by guilt? Or did she simply miss the power he had represented? We'll never know. What we do know is that her name became synonymous with the ultimate betrayal, the betrayal of blood by blood. History remembers Nandi not as a queen, not as a political mastermind, but as the mother who chose power over love. Her story serves as a chilling reminder that the capacity for betrayal exists in the most unexpected places, even in the heart of a mother. Her legacy forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature, about how ambition can corrupt even the most sacred relationships, about how political necessity can justify the most heinous acts, about how love, even maternal love, can be weaponized and destroyed. But perhaps most disturbing of all, her story reveals how betrayal by family cuts deeper than any other wound. Friends may disappoint us, lovers may abandon us, but when blood betrays blood, when the bond that should be unbreakable shatters completely, it leaves scars that never heal. The prince died believing in his mother's love until the very end. Even as the betrayal was revealed, part of him couldn't accept it. That's the cruelest aspect of family betrayal. It doesn't just destroy the present, it poisons every beautiful memory that came before. Today, as we navigate our own relationships and loyalties, Nandi's story poses a haunting question: what would it take to make you betray the people you love most? What price would be high enough? What pressure would be strong enough? The answer should be nothing. No price, no pressure. But if history has taught us anything, it's that human beings are capable of both magnificent love and unthinkable betrayal. So tell me, what do you think? Was Nandi a victim of impossible circumstances, or was she simply evil? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if stories like this fascinate you as much as they haunt me, subscribe for more tales from history's darkest chapters.